Imagine a world on the brink, a single whisper of discontent echoes through the streets, growing into a roar that topples kings, shatters empires, and redraws the map of humanity, from the quiet grumblings of oppressed farmers to the thunder of global wars that birth new nations. Revolutions aren't just history's footnotes, they're the earthquakes that reshape our world. But what if I told you every revolution follows a pattern, a deadly climb through 7 escalating levels, each more intense than the last? Today, we're diving into the 7 levels of revolution across history. Stick around, because by the end, you'll see why some sparks fizzle out, and others burn everything down. If you're ready to uncover the blueprint of chaos and change, hit that like button now and let's ignite the fire. Welcome back to Weird and Bizarre History, where we decode the past to understand the present. What do I mean by the 7 levels of revolution? Think of it as a ladder of escalation. Level 1 is the barely audible complaint, a safety valve for frustration. By level 7, it's a worldwide inferno that engulfs nations and ideologies. These levels aren't arbitrary, they're drawn from patterns in history, from ancient uprisings to modern movements. We'll explore each one with real-world cases, key figures, strategies that worked or failed, and the brutal consequences. Why does this matter? Because revolutions aren't relics of the past, they're happening right now, in protests and policy shifts around the globe. Understanding these levels helps us predict, prevent, or even participate in the waves of change. We'll keep it balanced, no glorifying violence, just raw history, so, grab your notes, and let's start at the bottom, the grumble that whispers, something's gotta give. Level 1, the grumble. This is the revolution in its infancy, not a bang, but a murmur. It's the quiet undercurrent of dissatisfaction that bubbles up when people feel the system's boot on their neck, but they're not ready to fight back just yet. Think of it as the pressure cooker starting to hiss, no organization, no leaders, just everyday folks venting their frustrations in taverns, around dinner tables, or in anonymous pamphlets. The goal is to blow off steam without rocking the boat, but ignore it too long, and that grumble turns into a growl. Our first historical deep dive takes us to the American colonies in the 1760s, right after the French and Indian War. Britain, fresh from victory, slaps new taxes on the colonists, the Stamp Act, the Townshend duties, without giving them a say in Parliament. No taxation without representation, becomes the catchphrase whispered in Boston alehouses. Colonists like Samuel Adams aren't calling for war, they're just grumbling about unfairness. Farmers in Virginia complain about British merchants undercutting their tobacco prices. Women in Philadelphia boycott imported tea, not as a protest, but because it symbolizes distant control. What makes this level so sneaky is that it's decentralized, no rallies, no manifestos, just gossip and graffiti. In ancient Rome, you'd hear plebeians grumbling about patrician land grabs during the Gracchi brothers era in the 2nd century BC. The brothers themselves started as grumblers, pushing mild reforms before it escalated. Fast forward to 19th century Britain, the Luddites grumbled about machines stealing jobs, smashing a few looms in secret rather than organizing. The power of the grumble lies in its subtlety. Rulers often dismiss it as noise. King George III called colonial complaints trifles, but it's the foundation. Without this level, there's no emotional buildup. Sociologists like Ted Robert Gurr in his Why Men Rebel theory point out that relative deprivation, feeling worse off compared to expectations, fuels these initial rumbles. In the American case, it simmered for years, from 1,765 Stamp Act Congress petitions, wait, that's almost level 2, to informal boycotts. Yet, not all grumbles lead to revolution. The Chartist movement in 1830s England grumbled about voting rights but fizzled without escalation. Key takeaway, at level 1, the revolution is 90% psychology. It's about planting seeds of doubt in the status quo. Leaders emerge organically, a charismatic innkeeper or a fiery preacher, who amplify the whispers into words. As we climb to level 2, remember, the grumble is the spark in the tinderbox, neglect it, and the fire spreads. In history's ledger, this level claims no lives, topples no thrones, but it's where the idea of change is born. Without it, the great upheavals of tomorrow remain silent dreams. So, what's your modern grumble? That social media post complaining about inequality, it might just be history's next whisper. Level 2, the petition. We've moved from whispers to written words. The Grumble coalesces into formal appeals, letters, declarations, and pleas to the powers that be. It's still peaceful, still legal, but now it's organized. People band together, sign petitions, and march them to the throne, or capital. The message: fix this, or else, but nicely. This level tests the regime's willingness to listen, respond well, and revolution stalls. Ignore it, and you've just handed the rebels a moral high ground. Flash back to 1775 America. As grumbles over taxes boiled, the Second Continental Congress drafts the Olive Branch Petition, led by John Dickinson. It's a humble plea to King George III, repeal the intolerable acts, restore our rights as Englishmen, and let's avoid all this nasty business. 51 delegates sign it, framing the colonists not as traitors, but loyal subjects begging for fairness. It's delivered across the Atlantic with hope. After all, petitions worked before, like against the Stamp Act in 1766. But the king brands it treasonous, refuses to read it, and sends Hessian mercenaries instead, and boom, petition denied and revolution accelerated. This mirrors ancient patterns. In 1215 England, barons petitioned King John with the Magna Carta, not a revolution per se, but a level 2 masterclass. They grumbled about arbitrary taxes and forced knighthoods, then forced the Great Charter on him at sword point. Okay, a bit of level 3 there. It curbed royal power and seated constitutionalism. In more modern times, consider the 1989 Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia. Dissidents like Václav Havel penned Charter 77, petitioning the communist regime for human rights and free speech. It was a flood of signatures, intellectuals, workers, even some officials, demanding reform without violence. The regime's harsh crackdown pushed it to higher levels, but the petition galvanized global support. Petitions can be a powerful tool for change. A well-written petition with strong arguments and numbers can make a difference. Thomas Paine's Common Sense pamphlet helped shape public opinion and push for American independence. Ignoring petitions can lead to conflict. The 1905 Russian petition to Tsar Nicholas II was ignored, leading to violence and revolution. Petitions humanize those seeking change and delegitimize those in power. Online petitions, like #MeToo, started as a shared story. Petitions bridge talk to action, giving legitimacy to a cause. Ignoring them can lead to bigger problems. History shows that listening to petitioners can prevent conflicts. History whispers, listen, or lose your crown. Level 3, the march. Words on paper aren't enough, now it's time to show up. Thousands hit the streets in organized processions, chants echoing, and banners waving. It's non-violent but visible, a human tide demanding change. No weapons yet, but the sheer numbers intimidates. This level amplifies the petition, turning private gripes into public spectacle. Government sweats, will it disperse or detonate? Our spotlight, Mahatma Gandhi's 1930 Salt March in British India. After petitions for Swaraj, self-rule, were ignored, Gandhi leads 78 followers on a 240-mile trek to Dandi. It's symbolic, breaking the salt tax law by making seawater salt. But it explodes. Millions join en route, women, Dalits, Muslims united. The British arrest Gandhi, but the march continues, sparking nationwide boycotts. No blood spilled by marchers, but the empire's facade cracks. Why? Visibility. Global press covers it, shaming Britain post-World War I. Echoes in history. The 1963 March on Washington, where Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech petitions for civil rights, 250,000 strong, peaceful, but it pressures JFK to push the Civil Rights Act. Earlier, the 1789 Women's March on Versailles in France, 7,000 Parisians, mostly women, marched 12 miles with pikes, edged toward level 4, demanding bread from the king. It forces Louis XVI back to Paris, a petition with feet. In ancient terms, the 445 BC March of the Plebeians in Rome, seceding to the Sacred Mount, camping out until consuls granted tribunes. It was a strike march hybrid, birthing the Republic's checks and balances. Strategy shines here. Marches need icons, Gandhi's spinning wheel, King's Bible. Logistics matter, routes, permits, or defiance, media savvy. Failures. The 1989 Tiananmen Square marches in China started peaceful, petitions in hand, but tanks rolled in, escalating tragically to level 6 vibes. Economically, marches cost little but yield much, moral authority. Sociologically, its bandwagon effect, seeing crowds join emboldens more. In the Indian case, it weakened British legitimacy, hastening independence by 1947. Modern parallel, the 2019 climate marches, millions worldwide petitioning for green policies, Thunberg's Fridays for Future marches echo Gandhi, pressuring COP summits. Level 3 marks the tipping point, visibility breeds vulnerability, marchers risk arrest, but immobility is death. History's marches remind us, when the people move, the world shakes, from Dandy's sands to DC's mall, it's proof that feet can forge freedom. Level 4, the uprising. The march turns messy. Frustration boils over into spontaneous violence, riots, clashes with authorities, property smashed. It's chaotic, leaderless at first, but it's the revolution's first taste of blood. Petitions rejected, marches battened, now it's payback. Not organized war, but flashpoints that scar the regime. The 1770 Boston Massacre, prelude to American Revolution, grumbles and petitions were ignored. A crowd of 50 to 100 hurls snowballs and oyster shells at British redcoats guarding the customs house. Tensions snap, 5 civilians dead, including Crispus Attucks, a black sailor. Paul Revere's engraving turns it into propaganda. Murder, by tyrants, it unites colonies, radicalizing moderates. In 1857 India, the Sepoy Mutiny, or First War of Independence, uprises from greased cartridges offending Hindu and Muslim soldiers. Marches to Delhi turn to uprisings, arsenals seized, British officers killed. Rani of Jhansi leads fierce resistance. It's patchwork, not unified, but it shakes the East India Company, leading to direct crown rule. French Revolution's great fear of 1789, after the Bastille fall. Level 3 march gone wild, peasants uprising in countryside, burning chateaux, fearing aristocratic plots. It's visceral, forks as pitchforks, granaries looted. It forces the assembly to abolish feudalism. Ancient echo, the 73 BC Spartacus uprising in Rome. 70 gladiators escape, swelling to 120,000 slaves marching through Italy, defeating legions temporarily. It's class rage, grumblings of bondage exploding. Dynamics, uprisings thrive on triggers, a killing, a rumor. They're emotional, not strategic, often alienating moderates. In Boston, it galvanized. In 1965 Watts riots, modern uprising, it led to backlash. Leaders like Sam Adams exploit it for narrative control. Consequences, first casualties humanize the cause. Economically, it disrupts trade. Boston's port closed in response, but risk, overreach invites crackdown. In 1919 Egypt, the uprising against British protectorate starts with student marches, turns to riots burning police stations. It births Saad Zaglal's Waft Party, paving independence. Level 4, the revolution's adolescence. It is wild, unpredictable, it draws the line, reform or repress. History shows, blood first spilled demands more. From Boston's snow to Spartacus's sword, uprisings scream, we won't take it anymore. Level 5, the rebellion. Chaos organizes, uprisings forge into structured resistance, militias, guerrilla bands, even proto-armies. It's war on a regional scale, ambushes, sieges, declarations of independence. Leaders consolidate, ideologies solidify. The regime fights back, but the rebels now have a flag to rally under. The American Revolution proper, 1775 Lexington and Concord, shot heard round the world. From Boston's uprising, the Continental Army forms under Washington. Grumbles to petitions to marches culminate in rebellion, declaring independence in 1776. Battles like Saratoga turn tide, allying with France. It's not civil war yet, it's colonial rebellion against mother country. Haitian Revolution 1791, slaves in Saint-Domingue, inspired by French ideals. Uprising under Toussaint Louverture, voodoo ceremony at Bois Cayman launches organized rebellion, burning plantations, defeating French troops. From 500,000 slaves, it births the first Black Republic in 1804, scaring slaveholders worldwide. In 1642 England, the English Civil War starts as parliamentary rebellion against Charles I absolutism. Petitions like the Grand Remonstrance ignored, marches to arms, Roundheads versus Cavaliers. Cromwell's new model army professionalizes it, leading to King's beheading. Level 6 preview. In ancient time, the 336 BC Theban rebellion against Philip II of Macedon, after grumbling under Alexander's father, Theban's uprising, declaring independence, it fails bloodily, but inspires Greek resistance. Tactics evolve. Guerrilla warfare in America, hit and run at cowpens, psychological ops like Paine's pamphlets, alliances key, Hades with Britain against France. Failures. 1745 Jacobite rebellion in Scotland fizzles without foreign aid. Economically, rebellions drain treasuries, America's war costs Britain £80 million. Socially, it polarizes, loyalists flee, rebels unite. Modern, the 1954 Algerian rebellion against France, FLN guerrillas from uprisings, to winning independence in 1962 after brutal war. Level 5 is revolution's maturity. From mob to movement, it demands discipline. Without it, like in 1524 German Peasants' War, it crumbles. Washington crossing the Delaware symbolizes it, bold, calculated defiance. Rebellions rewrite borders, but at high cost. History's rebels teaches organize or perish. Level 6, the Civil War. The beast awakens, rebellion engulfs the homeland, brother versus brother, ideology versus loyalty, it's total war. Armies clash on familiar soil, economies collapse, atrocities mount, no more peripheral fights, the state fractures, and the revolution devours its children. The French Revolution's reign of terror, 1793–94, from rebellion, it turns civil, Girondins versus Jacobins, royalists in Vendée uprising against the Republic. 40,000 executed by guillotine, 300,000 dead in wars, Robespierre's Committee of Public Safety wages internal purge, even allies like Danton fall, its revolution eating itself, birthing Napoleon. American Civil War 1861–65, technically post-revolution, but fits as Southern Rebellion turning civil, secession over slavery fractures Union, 620,000 dead, Gettysburg's 51,000 casualties in days. Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation reframes it as moral war, but its carnage, Sherman's march to the sea total devastation. Russian Civil War 1918–22, Bolshevik revolutions rebellion versus whites, greens, interventionists, 9 million dead from battles, famine, Red Terror, Trotsky's Red Army crushes opposition, but at cost of Ukraine's Holodomor echoes. Ancient, Athens Peloponnesian War 431–404 BC, democratic versus oligarchic factions within, allied externally, but civil strife core, Thucydides chronicles the savagery. Mechanics, civil wars thrive on divisions, ethnic, class, regional, foreign meddling prolongs, France in America, allies in Russia, normalizes atrocities, Vendée's drownings and Sherman's scorched earth. Economically, ruinous, Confederacy's currency worthless, Russia's ruble hyperinflated, and socially, scars last, Reconstruction's failures birth Jim Crow. Failures to escape, English Civil War led to Commonwealth, then Restoration, cycle of civil strife. Modern, Syrian Civil War 2011–present, from Arab Spring uprising to multi-faction hell, 500,000 plus dead. Level 6 is revolution's hellscape, when ideals drown in blood, it forges new orders, like the U.S. Stronger post-1865, but ghosts linger. Civil wars remind us that power vacuums invite monsters, from Paris scaffolds to Petersburg barricades, it's the price of fracture. Level 7, the World Revolution. The apex of apocalypse, what started as a local grumble spirals into global conflagration, ideologies clash across continents, empires crumble, humanity teeters, it's not one nation's fight, it's the remaking of the world order, with tens of millions dead and new superpowers rising from ashes. The Russian Revolution's global ripple, 1917 Civil War inspires worldwide communism, Lenin's Bolsheviks export revolution, Comintern funds uprisings in Germany, 1919 Spartacist, Hungary, 1919 Soviet, even China, 1927, it ignites the Cold War proxy battles, from Korea to Cuba. World War I, 1914–18, born of national rebellions, Serbian versus Austro-Hungary, becomes World Revolution, 20 million dead, for empires, German, Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, Russian, toppled. Wilson's 14 points petition for self-determination redrew maps, birthing League of Nations. The Haitian Revolution's shadow, 1791 Slave Rebellion terrifies Atlantic world, sparking fears in U.S., Fugitive Slave Act, inspiring Latin American independences, Bolivar's Wars 1810-25, even abolition in Britain 1833. Ancient pinnacle, Alexander the Great's conquests 336-323 BC, Macedonian rebellion against Persian Empire turns world-spanning, Hellenizing from Greece to India, it left 100,000 plus dead, and cultural fusion. Dynamics, ideology globalizes it, Marxism's manifesto, nationalism's fever, tech amplifies it, telegraphs in World War I, Internet today and alliances fracture, Entente versus Central Powers. Economically, devastation, WWI's $300 billion cost, hyperinflation in Weimar and socially, genocides, Armenian in Ottoman collapse. Escalation factors, domino effect, one fall topples others. Modern, Arab Spring 2011 uprisings linked to global finance crash, inspiring Occupy Wall Street, but risking world war via proxies like Ukraine. Level 7 redefines epochs, post-World War I Versailles sows World War II, Russian export births communism's half-century reign. It's the ultimate test, does the revolution liberate or enslave globally? According to history, it does both, from Petrograd storming to Sarajevo's shot, world revolutions forge tomorrows in fire. What a climb through the 7 levels of revolution. From the humble grumble to the world-shaking finale, history shows us the raw power, and peril, of change. Which level do you think we're in today? Drop a comment with your take on a modern revolution. If this blew your mind, smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into history's patterns, and ring the bell so you never miss a level up. Share with a friend who's ready to rethink the past. Don't forget to check out our other videos. Thanks for watching, see you next time.